Hi everyone, Sebastien Richard here for Thriving on Purpose, where we help today's believers in the areas of faith, personal growth, and leadership. And today, I titled this little video, How Far Are You Willing to Grow? John Henry Newman said this, and it's a great quote. He said, growth is the only evidence of life. The only evidence of life. You see, all living things seek to expand. They seek expansion. That's a particularity of life. So growth and expansion is a characteristic of life. Single cells grow and multiply. Blades of grass grow. I mean, it's springtime now. And if you're a man and you have a lawn to mow, you know that grass really grows. It never stops growing, right? It never stops. Plants and trees grow, beginning from a tiny seed. Animals grow from an egg or a fetus. And human beings grow as well. But although human beings grow, we're different from the rest of the living beings of creation. We're unique because we're created in the image of God, as you know. And as such, we seek to express our growth differently than a blade of grass or a tree. Jim Rohn, the late business philosopher, I love Jim Rohn. He had fantastic illustrations when he was teaching. He once said this. He made an interesting observation. He said, every life form seems to strive to its maximum except human beings. How tall will a tree grow, approximately? As tall as it possibly can. Human beings, on the other hand, have been given the dignity of choice. You can choose to be all you can be or less. Why not stretch up to the full measure of the challenge and see all that you can do? So that was Jim Rohn. I think it's a great observation. Now, here's another interesting observation. So, of course, I told you about the trees and the grass and the plants and nature. We see everything grows to its maximum capacity. And that's a great observation. But now, what about mammals? Recently, our family got a dog. He's a beautiful miniature poodle called Teddy, and we love him. He's super nice, affectionate, and lovely. But of course, when you bring a puppy in a household where there's 3 young kids, you have to set boundaries and rules, and you have to teach your children how a dog thinks, and you have to tell the kids what to do and what not to do with the dog in order to raise a good dog, right? And here's the thing that, as I was telling them, I realized, I was like, this is a great observation. I gotta say this to the people on my next Thriving on Purpose teaching, and that's why I'm bringing this up. Dogs are like, basically, they're descendants of wolves, so they still have the pack mentality in their minds. So whenever a young puppy joins a new household, the first thing he starts to do is he observes around. He observes the people, the members of the pack. And he tries to figure out, where do I fit in this pack? Because we know in nature that wolves, there's the alpha male and the alpha female, which are the leaders of the pack, and followed by a hierarchy of lower ranking wolves after that. And they all have their place in the pack, and they all know which is their rank, okay? And they instinctively follow their rank in everything they do, hunting, eating, sleeping, and everything. So I told the kids, I said, look, a dog is the same way. What he does right away when he comes in our house is he looks right away, and any dog does that, at the top dog positions. Who are the 2 top dogs? Who's the alpha male and alpha female? And the second thing he asks himself is, can I take their place? That's what a good dog does, okay? And now people are very different. Wherever we find ourselves in life, whatever station we are at, our job or anything we do, we don't always strive to achieve the best position. We don't strive to be the best. We don't try to be the alpha. Some of us do. Some of us do. Some of us really want to be the best. And those are the people we admire in society. That's why we love Olympic athletes. They inspire us. Why? Because they want to be the best. But most of us don't do that. We get in a new position, a new job, whatever, And we don't necessarily vie for the top dog position because we limit ourselves. We have limiting beliefs. See, in nature, a tree will grow as tall as it possibly can. A dog will try to go as high as he possibly can in your household. A wolf will always try, if possible, to be the alpha male or alpha female because there's so many privileges attached to that. But for some reason, human beings, we limit ourselves. And so I told this to my kids, and here's the lesson I was teaching them because I want them to be careful around the puppy. I said, here's what happens. So he saw that he can't mess with daddy. He can't mess with mommy. But then he looks at Jason, who's the third oldest. So he's our first kid, basically our oldest kid. He's like, can I take his place? And if he sees he can't take Jason's place, he's going to try to take Marissa's place, who's 8 years old. And if he sees he can't take her place, then he's going to try to bite at the heels of Caitlin to take her place. He doesn't want the last place. He always tries to fit in higher. But our jobs is to show him his place. And his place is at the bottom of the pack. Of course, that doesn't mean he won't be a happy dog, because a dog that knows its place is very happy. But so I have to teach that to my kids, and I have to teach them how to behave around the dog so that the dog constantly knows his place, and he knows he can't bite or growl at the kids. So I have to teach them that. So the dog always aims, if possible, for the top dog position, but we don't do that. People, we don't do that, right? We don't necessarily vie for the top. Some of us do. We often settle right away for the bottom. Because of what? Because of limiting beliefs. And what do I mean by limiting beliefs? Well, here's what a lot of us do. We think, well, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not educated enough. Have you ever thought that? Or we may think, I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too ugly. I don't have a nice voice. I don't have this. So we think in terms of what we lack, basically. We don't think in terms of what we have, what we can do, what we can accomplish, how tall we can grow. We don't think in terms of that. Human beings are very particular. Les Brown, one of my favorite speakers, once said these words, these very encouraging words. He said, shoot for the moon, aim for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll still land among the stars. Isn't that a great saying? I love it. And sculptor Michelangelo said this very insightful thought that I'm going to share with you. Michelangelo said, the greatest danger for most of us is not that our... Let me rephrase that. The greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high. It's not that we aim too high and miss. It's that we aim too low and we reach it. All right, let me rephrase that. Let me say that again because this is so good. You can tweet that. Michelangelo, the sculptor, said this of the Renaissance, the great artist from the Renaissance. He said, the greatest danger for most of us is not that we aim too high and miss it, but that we aim too low and reach it. Isn't that so true about us as human beings? We aim too low and we reach it. And when we reach it, what happens? We settle. We stay there instead of keep challenging ourselves to grow even further. So now that you know all of this, I'm going to ask you a question in closing. How far are you willing to grow to reach your dreams? Think about that. Be blessed and thrive on.